Before we start the stories, I want to say thank you to everybody that's been recently subscribing. You guys have definitely been helping me out get this channel to grow and making this dream of mine become more of a reality. Now, I know it's spooky month and I know you guys want to hear some creepy stories, so let's get right into it. I hope you guys enjoy. This story takes place in 2005. I was 12 years old at the time. My family wanted to take a vacation and my mom and my ex-stepdad decided it would be fun to take a cruise along the California coast with my 3 younger siblings and myself. As our ship made its way under the Golden Gate Bridge, my mom and I stood on her balcony to see San Francisco and the ocean beyond us. On the balcony to the right of her, a teenage boy emerged, presumably to take in the same view as we were. My mom gave him a polite hello and we made awkward eye contact, and he struck up a conversation with her. I wasn't paying any attention at first, but then I heard him ask my mom, "Do you have any sisters?" I saw him peer over at me, clearly taking interest. Me being a shy 12-year-old, tried to hide my gaze behind my mom's side. My mom joked that she has 2 sisters, but that they were probably much too old for him. They exchanged some polite small talk after that, which I didn't listen to, instead taking in the view of the sunset over San Francisco and the Pacific. We went about our separate ways for the evening, and over the next couple of days, we always seemed to be running into this boy and his family. My mother is an extremely friendly person, so she always would talk with them. His parents seemed nice enough, and the boy would always look at me intensely. But at that point in my life, I was still developing my first crushes on boys in my school. I sure as hell didn't know what to do. I didn't even know what his fixation on me implied, just that it made me feel as if he was seeing right through me. I avoided his stares by staying near my siblings, almost out of an instinct of protectiveness. On the 5th day of our trip, my mom came in and said the boy wanted to meet and hang out with us. She said his name was Asher. I thought it was weird and I didn't really want to, but I was always taught to give people the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps my discomfort was being judgmental, I thought. I reluctantly agreed, and eventually he was in our hotel room. My mom gave me this smile and raised her eyebrows, as if she was playing matchmaker. Then she went into her room, which was connected to ours. Asher was very odd right off the bat. Immediately my siblings and I were extremely uncomfortable. We were watching Scary Godmother on Cartoon Network, and I awkwardly asked if he wanted to watch something else. He probably thought our cartoons were stupid. He said he didn't mind, as long as he got to talk to me. My oldest brother, who was 10 at the time, immediately picked up on my body language and what he said, so he joined in on the conversation to put me at ease. Asher had an accent. I couldn't tell if he was foreign or if it was a speech impediment. A lot of what he said I couldn't quite pick up on, and he would sometimes lean over to me and say something quietly, that although I couldn't hear or understand, I knew I didn't like it. We spent the next while making awkward small talk about school, and he told me about his graduation coming up next summer. I asked if he was graduating junior high. No, he meant high school. Then he revealed to me that he would be turning 18 that December. Sirens immediately started going off in my head, and then he hands me a note he had written for me earlier. With my hand shaking, I open the note that reads, "I love you. You're hot." I guess my brother saw the note from over my shoulder and went over to our parents' room, then came back in and said, "Hey, our parents said we had to go for dinner." Asher took that as a cue to leave, but told me he loves me once more before he exits. I gave him a shaky, "Okay." My brother went to go make sure that I was okay, and told me that he had only pretended to go to our parents' room because he didn't want to get our mom in trouble with our ex-stepdad for inviting him. I know this logic seems weird, but please remember, we're all just kids. I was trembling and silent for a while. I didn't really understand what was happening. All I knew was that I had felt violated and confused. We later told our mom what had happened, and she looked extremely guilty. She thought he was younger, and that he had good intentions. She thought that it would be a good idea for me to meet friends closer to my age, because I was stuck babysitting all the time. Turned out, for some dumb reason, my mother had given him our home phone number before he had hung out with us. I was livid but too timid to speak up. I managed to avoid Asher for the rest of our trip, aside from the loading docks on the final day. He said goodbye and that he loved me, and would call me every day before leaving. He left before I could tell him not to. He called almost every week for 4 months after that, leaving strange and cryptic messages on our answering machine. Every time we would block his number, he would manage to call from a new one. I had accidentally picked up a couple of times not knowing it was him, and would immediately hang up, only for him to call 3 more times and leave the same strange message. After a year, he finally gave up and stopped calling. So, Asher from the cruise, I may be old enough for you now, but please, let's not ever meet again, you creep. My friend Sally had a bad run with neighbors, but this was one of the worst. Sally lives very close to me, about a 10-minute walk. We were both around 14 years old when this happened. We lived rural, so we both had a lot of land. Me and Sally decided to go camping on her land, and we brought cheap hammocks and went through the brushland. The days prior, we spent clearing some of the razor grass with a cane knife to make a path. We probably should have worn long pants because we ended up with little cuts all over our legs and arms. We set up our hammocks and brought quite a few blankets because it did get pretty cold at night, even though you're sweating throughout the day. We were still on her property and hadn't gone to our neighbor's boundary. Her neighbor had just leased the land to new tenants. Me and Sally were sitting on our hammocks talking and laughing. This was around 9 p.m. We heard something in the bush. We just thought it was a wallaby. There's plenty of wallabies around there. Then we could see the figure of a man. We were whispering to each other, trying to see who it was. At first, I thought it was her brother. He came and scared us when we were camping previously. Then as the person got closer, we were thinking it could have been her dad. It was dark and the bush looks like the same from every angle. We realized the man was coming from the other direction than her house. We didn't dare move and covered our torches under our blankets. This man came up and said hi, and introduced himself as Ben. Now, Ben was extremely drunk, and he staggered around and reeked of alcohol. He started saying how we had a nice little camp here, and said something pretty unsettling. "I'll have to come out and sunbake naked here on one of these hammocks." Me and Sally gave each other worried looks. Didn't really say anything about it though. It only got worse from there. I can't remember everything he said because it was a while ago, and he was mumbling on for what felt like forever. But some of the things that stuck out were, "I'll have to kill you, Wolf Creek style." And he said, "You're nearly legal then." When he asked about our ages, Ben was probably in his 40s. Me and Sally were texting each other while he was talking, and coming up with an escape plan. He also offered us a puff on the magic dragon, and pulled out a glass pipe. We declined, and Sally said that we were leaving back to the house to make some food. He told us to come back. We left our blankets and most of the stuff there and legged it. We told her dad what had happened and we slept inside. The next morning we went back out to the campsite to find everything burnt. A circle with probably about 20-meter radius was all burnt. Coming from the circle was a line of burnt grass, going towards the neighbor's house. I'm not a firefighter or do forensics, but it seemed obvious that some kind of fuel was used. Me and Sally were talking and it dawned on us the possibility that Ben may have thought we were in the hammocks due to the pile of blankets. Ben was definitely drunk enough not to be able to tell the difference. We went and told Sally's dad, who then checked it out, and then went next door. Ben's roommate answered the door and said Ben wasn't home and apologized, and even gave Sally's dad $50 for the blankets and hammocks. Nothing more happened for a few months. Sally told me at school about how Ben had been caught on camera sneaking around her yard. I went to her house after school because she was going to be home alone, until her dad finished work. I ended up sleeping over there that night. That's when he came over. Ben was drunk and he came out the front of Sally's house and started yelling. He accused Sally of stealing his dog. Sally's dad called the police and they ended up arresting him. The next day we found a knife in the yard. It wasn't from Sally's house. The police came again and we told them about the knife, and they got the footage from the cameras as well. I don't know what happened to Ben, but he no longer lives next to Sally. So Ben, let's never meet again. Hey friends, thanks for checking out today's video. If you haven't yet, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to be notified when I drop a new video or stream. If you guys want some more behind the scenes action, make sure to follow me on my social medias. Links to these will be provided in the description, including my public Discord, and my Snapchat if you're interested. Also, if you'd like to support me and the channel, please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon, where $1 a month gets you early access to all my videos. With all that being said, I just want to say thank you again, and remember, keep it spooky, haha.